Parashas Shemini, Tafshin Pei Hey. Taking back the B'ez Hashem, the shiurim, and there's so much to speak in this parsha that I pointed just a very small detail about the mechanical of a person losing his Kedusha. How does he work? We have mentioning the laws of kashrus. The laws of kashrus so important to a person to live? Why should he not be allowed to eat anything he wants? Because it's good for the body, or at least he thinks, or at least doctors think that they're good for the body. What is it in truth? Let's get into the psukim. I mean, it could be questions to no end in questions. The lashon of the psukim is really dramatic. There's no other word. There's no one sentence that it's not going to be soiser, the next one, or said a different way. Like the pasuk here wants to hint us a host of limudim. I just took I'm not going to speak in this year about the 8 shratzim, which are surim midoraisa. They have a special statute. Only because we haven't learned the yet Shabbos, the Shiva Melachim, and really this is a direct hint to there were really 8 Melachim, but 7 died prior, at the end of Parshas Vayishlach. Like anyone cared that Esav had Melachim before the Malchei Yisrael. And there's a lot of soidas in this. B'ez Hashem, we're not far from learning this. That's why I didn't want to learn about the 8 shratzim. But let's go into the pasuk. We're going to go find enough what to learn with, and it's deep enough. Vezei lachem hatame. That's what's tame to you. If I was really looking at the grammar here, I would point out that is what basically what is the only thing that's tame to you. Hatame with the hey hayedia, pointing out this is, I could say the makor of tuma, or the tuma. Like nothing else is tame. Basheretz. In the shratzim, hasheretz ala aretz that crawls on the ground. This lashon will see it nonstop. Like one time is not enough. We're gonna have to see it. Okay, I spared the 8 shratzim. Now we're gonna have a different version of it. Eile hatemeim lachem. These are the hey hayedia, which are tame to you. Here it says in singular, Vezei lachem hatame. Here it says in plural. If you're taking all the shratzim considered as a sheretz, it's the species that's important, then it's singular. But now you're going to see the pasuk is going to make a differentiation here. It says, Vezei lachem hatame basheretz, and now it says here, Bechol hasharetz. What are these changes the pasuk makes? I mean, we understand that the shratzim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want us to eat them because they bring a tumor in the body. Not any different that he doesn't want us to eat fish that has no scale. It's tamei. We understand what tamei means. But the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, about the shratzim in such forceful language, obviously something is cooking here. Something is on the line. That's a huge remez. And turning a singular plural in any way possible, obviously something is here. I mean, yes, they have an extra tumor. If you touch them while they're dead, the person is tummy for that day. But now we're going to have a klal. So here we had the prat. Here also. And now, v'chol hasheret. Any time of crawling animal, hasheret halaaretz, that crawls on the ground. 1, 2, sheketz hu lo yachel. It's disgusting, should not be eaten. Kol hoylech al gachen, v'chol hoylech al arba, one who crawls on the body, on its bodies like a snake, v'chol hoylech al arba, like the akrav, ad kol marbim raglayim, and even if they have many feet, one second. Basically, the pasuk seemingly is not teaching me anything, because I have no semen here. You told me kol hoylech al gachen, has no legs, advances, crawls on its body, or he has 4 feet, like the scorpion, or he has a lot, like a spider. I don't know. So how do I recognize them? Lechol hasheret. So just say that was enough to say v'chol hasheret ala aretz. This pasuk, since includes all the shratzim, either that crawls, either that walk on 4 feet, or multiple feet, they're all tummy. Fine. And you're not allowed to eat them. So remain with that pasuk, v'chol hasheret. What do you have to tell me this whole sentence without teaching me anything? Lechol hasheretz al aretz, in case you forgot that a pasuk before he said it. Lo yisoichlum. And again we have the game by here it goes sheketzu, and here it goes plural sheketzem. Obviously, the pasuk has an intention. Here we're talking about tumah. Here, on touching. Here we're talking about isur achil. You know something, Tommy, that's mutter to eat you? So here you can say that basically it includes all those that are not part of the 8 shratzim. So these only the 8 are metame, but the others are not metame. But it's far-fetched. The Torah could have taught us this a lot in a way, lots simpler, but the Torah chose to teach us that way because obviously it's a loaded train here with a lot of Torahs, a lot of limudim that we need to find out just a few. What is a Torah so critical and repeating over and over again that this Isur Achila, more than any other Isur Achila that was mentioned prior to this, which is non-kosher animals and non-kosher fish and birds. The Shratzim have a special place in the Torah. I want to explain from this, basically, Am Yisrael has a special Kedusha. And this Kedusha cannot be affected because this is our relation communication, not communication, but our bond to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the right word. So since this is our bond to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'skadishtem v'isem kedoshim ki kadosh ani Hashem. We are the samely I forgot the pasuk. We're gonna see the pasuk later on that and Rashi explained that only if you are Kaddish, you're gonna be mine. But if you're not Kaddish, you're not mine. In other words, as many times we have explained that Israel is not a noun. We're not born Israel. We're born Yehudi. But Israel is an adjective. It's a mila. It's a madrega. And this we reach through the levels of Kedusha. What are these levels of Kedusha and how the Shrostim affect it? You know, and then it's going to help us understand the message and some of the leshonis of this psukim. I cannot address this in a 6-hour shiur, but there are so much in here that we need to start with the basics. What gives us, what creates us, what makes us go from Yehudi to Yisrael, and what makes Chaz v'sham, a Yid, become Ois Yisrael. He's not Israel anymore. He's not considered Bnei Israel. We know that Bnei Israel equals 603, equals Noitzer Chesed La'alafim. They have a special sgula to the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that even in time of duress, when they don't have any merit, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a chesed. So I want to explain all these little inyanim that we take for granted, what makes an Israel, and explain how it works and how the sheretz, the eating, the shratzim, removes everything about being a Yisrael. Let's start the shiur. So the whole thing starts in basically Vayhi Vayoyim Shemini. I'm just going to barely touch this pasuk because this is the chinuch. This is the preparation for the Shekhinah to come down to this world. So we had to bring her down from Atzilus all the way down to Iberia, Yetzira, Asiya, and go into the Mishkan. And the Shekhinah is Kedusha, we know, and can only stay there if Bnei Yisrael are Kedusha. Mamish, the first Zohar on the Parsha comes, and Rabbi Yitzchak wants to explain this inyan of Vayhi Bayoyim Shmini. Shmini equals Kedusha. 415 Shmini. Shin Mem Yud, written 10 Kaddish. So we understand we're talking about the Kedushas Bnei Israel. What makes a Yehudi is Tahir, a Ben Israel is Kaddish, a Levi is Tahir. Every time we see in Parashas Leviim, it's only using the Lashon Torah. It doesn't use the Lashon Kedusha. However, for Kohanim, which are in the Chesed, it only uses the Lashon Kedusha, not the Lashon Torah. There's a huge difference in level. So in English, you say purity. No, purity is Torah. Kedusha is sanctification. Is someone sanctified much higher than Torah. That's why the Kohen, being from Shevet Levi, is a Kohen. Is not remaining a Levi. Is 1 mile above. That said, let's go to the basics. So, Rabbi Yitzchak, to explain the Vayhi Bayam Shemini, takes a pasuk in Iyov and it gives us an explanation. Beron Yachad Kochve Boiker. when they sung together the stars of the morning. You know your morning stars, right? Maybe it's a saying, Vayariu kol Bnei Elohim. And then the Bnei Elohim were trumpeting or doing trua. The explanation on this pasuk is because Ea was complaining, so Hashem told him, where were you when all the stars of the morning were singing to me and praising me? That you would hear my praise. Why you complain? And only after the morning stars have praised HaKadosh Baruch Hu can the people of the world, by a real trua, trumpeting, whatever it is, the tithes here, I don't know, but we're going to go explaining this area. Now, I don't need to be on the psukim anymore. The Zohar explains that Hashem did a tremendous chesed with the Bnei Israel. He gave them the Torah, and the Torah is the bond to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to the Shechina. You understand on your own what it means. It's very simple. The Torah creates a Kedusha. The Kedusha is the cement between HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kucha Baruch Hu, Shechinte, ve'Yisrael Chadu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Shechina, and the Bnei Israel truly is only one. When? When they learn Torah. Why? Because they have this bond through the Kedusha, and the Kedusha encompasses a lot more than just the person. So everything is truly one. And when this happened, this is the simcha of all the Olamas, because all the Olamas are receiving Shefa. All the Malachim can only get the Parnasa only when Bnei Israel are learning Torah, and with Torah the world was created. With Torah the human was created. Let us do, in plural, Na'ase Adam. Let's say Dukim, all the those who wants to find failures because they see failures all around them because they are a failure. They take this pasuk and show that there was a plurality of gods. When we know us al pisoid that Vayomer Elohim Naase Adam, so I can say it's the Keser speaking to the Chochma and Bina and says Naase Adam, and then from the Yichud of the Chochma of the Bina came Kucha Berichu Shchinte. That's simple. In other words, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says He created the world, He created the human, it's and keep this in the side of your mind because this is gonna be where we're gonna dig the most and see the light. The Chochma and the Bina, so the Keser told the Chochma and the Bina to create a man. So the Bina told the Keser that since man is gonna sin, please be a rechapayim. You have to have patience with him and let him come b'tshuva. And that's already, someone who learns Torah. But the Zohar brings down that there's another category here, and that's the category of learning Torah at night. Because these are the true ones that are connected, glued to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to the Shechina and the receiving Sarim, they get the Keser Torah. So I'll say not only once. I mean, you look at Eruvin Samech Hey, I think it's Samech Hey Amud Aleph. Lo Ivrei Leila Girsa, that the night was only created in order to learn and you understand at night the Malchus is shoilet, so you know how much effect and tikkunim it does to the malchus, to the point that when comes the morning and the person appears before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning he's davening shachris, even the malachim are not allowed to say shira before him. They have to wait for him to daven, given he doesn't go to sleep before shachris, and all the malachim elyon cannot say shira until he davens. That's the importance, because his davening is much more of a shvach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than their shira. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him a chut shel chesed. I'm going to explain what it means, the chut shel chesed. Why? Because he has done a tremendous teva to the malchus. In other words, when a person elevates the malchus, right away he elevates himself. Why? Because he is part of the malchus. His neshama is coming from the Knesset Yisrael, from the keser of the malchus. And therefore, whenever he raises the malchus, he's raising himself at the same time. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes it as if he did it intentionally only for the malchus. And they are called, these people that have learned through the night with the intention to raise the Shekhinah, they called Koich Veboiker. They are the morning stars. And they come together and say the Shira in the morning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu first with the Shekhinah. They're the only one allowed to say Shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Shekhinah. And only then, all the rest, very interesting Lashon, Vayariu. Meaning, they don't say a Shira basically to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They say a Lashon, it's not a tefillah, it's not a Shira, it's a Lashon of Trua. It means you can lay out your needs. You can lay out your pain. You can lay out, that's the Lashon of the Trua. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not accepting shiur shvacha from, the rest. He's only accepting shiur shvacha from those who remain awake at night in order to learn with the Shekhinah. That's what it says. And this is what creates tremendous Kedusha to the person. At that point, Kedusha, it's not, I'm going to prove it to you. We are in the sphere, okay? In the sphere, we all know we went into Mente Share Tuma, and the whole story, the good story from Yetzias Mitzrayim all the way to Matan Torah. To the point that the whole Yetzias Mitzrayim was enlarged because of Matan Torah after that. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Badesneh that on this heart you will serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Very interesting proof, but it's not the time to explain this. That how can you give? Moshe Rabbeinu was expecting some credentials to be trusted by the Bnei Israel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to tell them, in the future, you'll worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu on this mountain. Okay, and how do I know it's true now? Do I have anything that I could check? Something that could tell me that it's not Navi HaSheker? Because Israel had a lot of Navi HaSheker. We mentioned that already. Simply crystallized it into a number. Yetzias Mitzrayim equals 891. Nase Benishma equals 891. The semen of Yetzias Mitzrayim being because of the acceptance of the Torah is obvious. Nothing happens in the vacuum. Kadosh Baruch Hu is mashgiach the world and everything, mamish biprate pratius, every detail. Every detail. So now, when someone goes up a ladder, like we are doing at the beginning from the day after Pesach till Shavuos, we mesaken all the midas. So the lowest midah, we're starting with the first rung of the ladder. First one being Malchus de Malchus. Then it's Yesod de Malchus. Then it's Hoy de Malchus. Then it's Netzach de Malchus. And but no, that's not how it starts. It starts from the top down. How can we reach the top before repairing the bottom? It's impossible. So how do we do this? How do we go chesed shebechesed, then gvura shebechesed, then tiferet shebechesed, then netzach shebechesed? But we can't. Ze ashar Hashem tzadikim yavo uvoi. We explained many times that through the malchus we can reach the azespheres. So first we have to be mesaken the malchus in order to be entered the shal Hashem, and then go up. How is it possible that it's upside down in the sphere? Without going deep into the inyan of the sphere, I'm just going to also crystallize if you want, just to give you a concept. Vayhi bayim ha-Shemini. So ha-Shemini equals Kedusha. Yemei Sphira equals Kedusha. We're not talking about Torah. Whatever is up to this world goes from down, up. The Maisa of the Tachtonim goes from down, up. However, whatever comes from Shemaim goes from top, down. Kedusha, it's not something you can create. It's something where you can prepare the Kli. As soon as the Kli is prepared, to the middle of the Kli, a level of Kedusha comes till the rim. We don't want to spit it over as we learned in Eitzos Chaim, because then it would go the Shefa and the oil would go to the Chitzonim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills it to the rim. Up another day, boom, more Kedusha. Another day, more Kedusha. Another day, more Kedusha. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia the Kedusha. The Torah, we work for it. The Torah is the practical part of a person keeping himself, within the laws of purity in this world. It's ma'aseh. He does the proper ma'asim in order to remain tahor. Then he does acts to open his kli. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia the Kedusha. So, how is it possible that the pasuk is talking exclusively about Kedusha? How is it possible? But it's not us that do it. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu that does it. And here we should have talked about Torah, the opposite of Tuma. V'zeh lachem ha-tamei. If this is tamei, means I shouldn't do it in order to be pure. And if chas v'shalom someone does it, like a woman that has, that became nida, or someone that touched a nida, is going to go 7 days purification process, and after the 7 days, going to go into the mikveh, and the mikveh will be metaher. So that what should have been mentioned there. However, what's mentioned instead, it's mentioned the din Kedusha. I mean, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia. But before we go to there, we should know the procedure of the Torah if someone has v'shalom was a nichshar on these things. I want to quickly show something on the word of the pasuk and finish to establish this. The ground level is the most important level. The fact that the pasuk used to speak about all the others, Bnei Elohim, I was very intrigued. This, for me, it's an unusual language. Bnei Elohim, not Ha Elohim, because this is a cut of the Erev Rav, but he used something very close to, and this equals to 148. Equals to Aim Habani, the mother of the children. So usually the mother of the children in the Zohar is the Bina. The Bina that spreads its wings on its children to protect them from the Chitzoni. Could be also. So usually when the Shechina, when the Bina does this, so she's the Nesher. She's the Nesher HaGadol. What do we call her Nesher HaGadol? Because there's a Nesher cotton. Whenever the, what do we say? Oh yeah, I remember that. Whenever we say, whenever the Bina spreads its wings, it covers also the Shechina, the Malchus. Automatically at that point, the Malchus becomes also a Nesher, an eagle, and spreads its wings. How does this happen? This is also the word Pesach. It's the mouth. When we use our mouth to be Meshabeach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we use our mouth for learning Torah, automatically Aim Habanim, we have the Shechina spreading its wings over the person and protecting him. The proof to this is very simple, but I was just triggered by your thought. If we have time, maybe I'll get to it. I just want to see if I have it here. Excuse me a second. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna mention it a bit later. So Ema Banim equal Pesach means the word. This is the side of Hakoil Kol Yaakov. We trigger things with our mouth. We don't have to do things. We can say order exactly like HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shamayim. Only b'machshava, things take a what do you call? Become orders and creates themselves with the machshava. A yid is a bit different. He has to say, but once he says it, he triggers button on top, and these buttons create protection, and nothing can be done to him. Now he's having the proof to this. The one who learned at night, Chut Shel Chesed. Chut Shel Chesed equals 425. It equals Hanukkah Purim. It was done, both miracles were done with one Chut Shel Chesed. To tell you what it does, Chut Shel Chesed. Like when Esther went to see Achashverosh without, after the tinies, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mamshich to her a Chut Shel Chesed. That this is one of the 72 names of the Shema Mefoirash that were done, that we say every morning, comes out from the pasuk Ve'ahavta es Hashem Eloi If you take the last letter, Taf, Hey, Taf. And that's the kavana when we say these words, to be mamshich the shame, which is doing Yeshua's like Chanukah and Purim. You can be mamshich this oir to you, and be zoiche to Yeshua's also, whoever needs, who never. Everybody needs oir in his life. Everybody sees one side of the person is darkness. No matter who the individual is, it's like the world. Never the whole world will have day at the same time. Never. Because it's the light, it's the sun, and the sun is moving. So never would it happen. And this shows the tremendous powers of the wings, what I call, and I'm going to explain them a bit later, the kanfei nesharim, we say, he's going to take us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by Mashiach on kanfei nesharim. If you're waiting for eagles, you're going to wait a long time here. But the eagles we're mentioning here are the Bina and the Malchus, as we said. And that's the Inyan here, where the Torah starts this pasuk, Vayhi Bayoim HaShemini, because Shemini is the eighth, it's the eighth, Shemini is eighth, and it's this eighth Midah is the Bina. So we always trigger first the Bina, and the Bina triggers the Malchus, and the Malchus sends Shefa to the Bnei Israel down below. We have the path of the Kedusha stating. We haven't answered anything right now, okay? I just want to establish what is the inyan of Kedusha, how it comes down, how is Zoichet to it, what can we do with it? It's tremendous Yeshuas. There is in Yuma the Mishnah says, the first Mishnah, based on Mudalev. I'll bring you this later. I want to go maybe first in Rabbi Akiva. This is in Yuma Ches Amud Aleph. Omar Rabbi Akiva, Ashreichem Yisrael, you know very well that Mishnah, Ashreichem Yisrael, Lifnei miyatem etarim umi metaher eschem. Pay attention to the Lashon of Tana Elaki Rabbi Akiva. Lifnei mi atem metaharim, not mitkachim, metaharim, umi metaher eschem. What is this duality we have here? You have to be metar yourself, but in truth, you can't be metar yourself. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu being metar you. And he's going to bring two psukim as a proof. Vezarakti aleichem mayim tehoirim. And I will throw upon you pure water means nothing. Water of purity. That's what I would translate it. Uthartem. And like this only, you'll become tahir. In other words, now we have a statement that even the Torah is not in our hands. It's in the hand of Hashem. So we saw the Kedusha and we understand the Kedusha, that the whole Kedusha is in the hands of Hashem. But having the Torah in the hands of Hashem, this we didn't know anything about it. And he brings a second puzzle. Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mikveh, the 40. You remember what is those 40 Seiya, right? We learned the side of Arbaim. It's Yud. The Hey is the Dalet Vav from Doidi, Dalet Vav. Then Vav, then Hey written in Dalet Yud. Together, you have the Yud Ke Vav Ke comes out to 40. So the name of Hashem is Metaher. The oir that comes out of the name of Hashem, the Chitzonim are taking off when the seed, otherwise they'll be burned to ash. That's the mikveh Yisrael. We're going to the mikveh down here. We try to get Tyra by going to the mikveh down here. So what's happening? No. You do your part. In other words, there are two parts in every elevation that a person seeks. Surmera, first of all, he has to, the way he can be metar himself in this world is stopping going after the chitzonim, va'asetoiv, and do good. And now, not only he's preventing himself from doing bad, but he's also doing good. So this is two levels above where he was. A person, when he sins, is putting himself, yes. He soiled his nefesh completely, partially his ruach, the neshama takes off. The neshama is chelek eloiki mimal, cannot suffer any pgam. So it takes off from the person. He lives like a goy with the nefesh and ruach. When the person comes back, is doing tshuva, there is a problem. Because what he's done to himself, to a certain level, let's say he can be mesaken. But he can be mesaken only one part, the guf. But if the nefesh is still tummy, how can we be mesaken this? It's inside you, it's spiritual. When you go to the mikveh, a mikveh in olam asiyah, it's the guf that need her. Only the guf can goes into the waters. Yes, the guf is the outer envelope that includes the nefesh, ruach, and neshama. But how is the inner part of the body, the real I, which is the nefesh, ruach, neshama, how is it being affected by going into our barim seah of the mikveh? On the Shabbos Shiurim, we explained this, that this is the part with the person having kavana when he goes to the mikveh. Because through the kavana, he's involving his inner him, just going inside the water and everything. Yes, I would agree. The body would become tahir for the time being inside the mikveh. As soon as he walked out, his nefesh is stomach and rotten, and he's going to go back to where he thinks he's getting tired every time he goes to the mikveh, and he can go redo whatever he wants to do. Wrong. Because here, not having the proper kavanah to be nithar, automatically, as soon as he walked out of the mikveh, he's already tummy. A person like this is already tummy because he's not cleaning his inside. But even in that part, you're having kavana, you can only correct a certain level of gamim that have been done by the sin of the person. Even with vidu, another part, even with tshuva, another part, you can have it all. Why? Because there's something which is out of your reach. And that thing that out of your reach is the pgam created in the sheresh haneshama in the mothers. You have in your hands your destiny, your body, You inner also is in your hands. Yes, agreed, it's in your hands. However, to correct the pagam in the Shechina, you don't even know where the pagam is. That's not within your reach. That's not within the capacity of a person. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoidoi be'atzmoi needs to be mesaken when the person is chozer b'tshuva down here, is me'orer the tshuva elyoina, and the tshuva elyoina will go to the malchus and be mesaken the malchus, all the coming that were done to him. And that's the inyan. After that, he's connected back to the Sheresh Neshama. He's one. Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. You know, Mikveh is Gematria 151. So we're in the same Kana Aleph Hey Yud Hey the Hehin, meaning Aleph Hey Hey Yud Vav Dalet Hey Hey. That's where the Mikveh is. And if you take the 10 meters, so when you really go with kavanas, the proper kavanas into the mikveh, it's 151 plus 10 with the 10 spheres. Says that's from the Ariyah Kodesh. And this 161, you know, it's the Keye Aleph Hey Yud. Yud Vav Dalet Hey Yud. So it's the middle with the Yudin, and that's Venake. And you can see exactly what we have described. That's exactly what the Ariyah Kodesh says. What is the lower, the mazala tasar of the Bnei Israel, the lower mazel of the Bnei Israel is venake, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu cleans. We can't clean ourselves. We don't know where it is, and we can reach the Shechina. Halvai we could reach the Shechina. So we need the help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he is venake. And venake being the Shem Keye, the Yudin, you see the power that it has when someone has a mikveh plus kavanah. That at least it triggers in its oirus from up there, exactly like Yemei has Fira, and now this is gonna come down and it's trying to bring a shefa in here to the Ilamis and raise the Shechina to where it's supposed to be with these 10 spheres. Because only when the Shechina has its 10 spheres can it go up to the Bina, and they can act as the Nesher HaGadol and the Nesher HaKatan. That's what it is. And then we have Sukkah Shalom. Ufrois Aleinu Sukkah Shloimecha. What is Sukkah Shloimecha? You know you're a Sukkah of Shalom. You know a Sukkah called Shalom. Achmanu Yakim Lanu es Sukkahs David HaNoifeles. You know you're the Sukkah of David HaMelech? Wow. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because I don't know it. Who's Sukkah's David? David is the Malchus. The Sukkah of the Malchus is when the Malchus spread its wings. But in the Galus, the Chitzenim push down the Malchus is like fellas. When someone is at night, he brings the Malchus back to its 10 spheres and can fight during the day. When the Malchus is with 10 spheres, right away it goes up to the Bina, right away the wings are spread over, and it becomes a Sukkah Shalom. That's how it works. What happens to the person? He's a Kodesh Nikra. That's how Kedusha comes, and the more he works on his midas, and it creates a bigger kli, the more the Kedusha, the level of Kedusha goes up, and you recognize these people because they don't talk. The koyach had, I explained this morning. I'm not going to explain it. It's a pity. I don't have the time, materialistic. I don't want to go out of the subject. There was an Indian I wanted to touch about the big the kahuna and the hazah. The big the kahuna were created. It says in Parashas Tetzaveh that the chavedol tifares, they're so beautiful that it brings prestige to those who were there. In that case, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell in our Parsha to Moshe Rabbeinu and in Parashas Tzav to mix blood and shemen hamishkan to spray on them? Do you know what a linen cloth, when you spray, you stain them like this? The stain never goes away. What's the point? How can the Kohanim, show themselves in even if they clean after that, they still have a stain. It is so shaykh that the Kohanim will be Oved Hashem in the Beis Hamikdash, especially the Kohen Gadol Lifnei Velifnim with stains on his clothes. A Talmid Chacham that goes out with the stain is Chayav Misa. A Kohen that worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside the Beis Hamikdash, for sure kol sheken that he will be Chayav Misa. How is it possible? Unfortunately, not gonna have the time. It's pertaining to the union of Kedusha, but I won't have time to go into this union right now. I just want to stay on path here. The Gemara brings down, I'm just going to skip also a part here to try to mamish pinpoint the Indian. I was here, I wanted to teach here tonight is, how the Kedusha and the Torah, how it works, how does a person change himself, because you're going to learn from there to Yemei Asphira, to the Sphira Sa'imer, because I'm sure you have a million questions, and you're going to see them in 2 million questions. But you will be able to answer most of them with this Indian that you have learned how and each one where it belongs and how it works. The Gemara in Yuma, I think it's Gimel Amud Beis, Da'at Amud Beis. But the Machlokes starts a little bit before, between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Regarding what? Regarding what it says in the first Mishnah in Yoma Beis Amud Aleph that I wanted to mention earlier, that the Kohen before Yom Kippur was separated for 7 days in order to prepare himself for the Avodah Lifnei Velifnim, for entering the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur. So he had to train, Rashi explained, he had to train 3 things. First, the Avodah that should, that's a Chazara, so nothing becomes possible. No korbanos, and train about davening for Bnei Israel, and train the kavanas. That his machshava should be proper and not have a machshava kas v'shalom that could have a defect. In other words, the kavanas. So every ma'aseh that he does, it's a ma'aseh b'tchilu urechimu, and he triggers the oires of the chaf. Because even though the bina is olam ha-Torah, we also call him atshuva, olam ha-cherus, olam ha-Torah, but where did the bina is only a nukva, she's the kli. So who poured it in the kli? The chaf. So when you do a mitzvah is 141, and you have the intention in mind to do it, to create a yichud between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. In other words, you want to create a mitzvah plus 91. 91, Sukkah, Malach, whatever, Amen, Yudke, Vavke, Adnos, equals 232. Yehi Oyer. Which Oyer? Absagma Ben. The four names of the Chachma, the Mehirim. We already know that the Chitzonim leave the world and they go to the Nukva, the Tehoima Rabbah, when the Bina is shining. With the oil of the Bina is too strong for them. They have to go to the 8th level of Gehinam to hide there. When the Chachma shines, especially with the forename, Absagma Ben, which are 232, Yehi Oyer, that I don't know where they need to go in order to be saved from that oil, but this is the oil the person triggers. In other words, you do a mitzvah down here. So in the part of the mitzvah, you have a chelek of Kedusha that you trigger. Where is the Chachma called? The Chachma, okay, we learn it pshat or we learn it soid. If we learn it pshat, I don't know where it is because it's so high, the middle of Chachma, so we can describe it. But if we learn it al pisoid, we know the lashon is v'achachma me'ayin timatze. The chachma comes from the keser. May ayin, the milui of Moshe. And it's called kodesh. Kohen Gadol is in chachma. The Shemin HaMishcha, I didn't give that shiur online, didn't have strength, but you share about Shemin HaMishcha. It's many years I had a lot of questions, and Baruch Hashem, this year I've been able to answer this question and define clearly what is Shemin HaMishcha and how it works, why Moshe Rabbeinu only was the one allowed to do it. Nobody has done Shemin HaMishcha since Moshe Rabbeinu. It was a funny oil. This is an oil that would fill by itself. You just pour a tiny drop, and that drop will fill up the kli wherever it is. So the Indian of Shemin HaMishcha and Shemin HaMa'or. Because in the pasuk, sometimes it talks about the Shemin HaMishcha, some had to define them and what's the characteristics of each one of them. So here you had the Shemin HaMishcha, which the source is from the Chachma. Shemin al roish, yiur al roish Aaron al pi midosav. I know I made a mistake in the pasuk. Al skan Aaron. Basically, it triggers from the Chachma to the Kohen Gadol, the Kohen Gadol to Chesed to the Kohanim. That's why they called not Kodesh but Kadosh. They're one level below, and from there to the Malchus to be Mekadesh, the Malka, Elyoina, and so forth. So now we can see that we trigger tremendous level of inyanim, which is the chachma, and through the chachma we bringing only kedusha. So now you're doing a ma'aseh mitzvah, which is metaher, but this Torah also has a chelek of kedusha on top. Because what you're doing from down up, will trigger something. So the man will trigger a mad. The mind nukvin will trigger a mind dechurin. And the mind dechurin is the Kedusha. The mind nukvin, what goes up, is what you send up, is the Torah. But we asked the question from Rabbi Akiva before that we have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send Mayim Tehorim. Just going to double check. I know I wrote about this Mayim Tehorim. Just want to make sure. Yes. So, just for you to know, this Mayim Tehorim, what are these Mayim Tehorim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends? It's the 5 chasadim. Mayim Tehorim equals 360, 5 times chesed. There's only 5 chasadim. In other words, exactly what we explained. I'm doing my part of being metaher myself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending the chasadim which have Kedusha inside there and is mekadesh the person. Now, yes, we can look at the chasadim having Yeshuas, having these, because all the chasadim are meirim to the person. You're free to do what you want. But there is a characteristics in the chasadim which we far more important, which is everlasting. The Yeshua's desire, it's only a time, as long as we live. But after that, what remains with us is the level of Kedusha that we take into the other side. That's the tremendous part of the chasadim. That's the chut shel chesed. The chut shel chesed, you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chazal dress everything through simple words, is basically a channel of Kedusha. And whenever the person has the simanim of Kedusha, nothing can touch it. Nothing. Why? Because it's a siman on the forehead that the mashchis sees, the chitzonim, and they know this one, we don't approach today, we're messing with him. If we're messing with him, from Shamayim, they're messing with us. So they leave him alone. That's fine. But now if I want to know exactly how these two things work, the Torah within the Kedusha, and how does he apply to the Metzora to close the circle? And I'll finish on this, the shiur. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia on the person, that we saw now clearly, then the 5 chasadim, these are the Mayim Tehorim, and he's mashpia to the person, he's mashpia from the first 3 midas. Na'aseh Adam, the 3 partners that said Na'aseh Adam, I'm going to go on here to explain it at the same time. So we have the Na'aseh Adam to the plural, we have the Keser, Chachma, and Bina, where is it right? Oh, no, Keser, Chachma, and Bina, they are the one that say Na'aseh Adam, let's make a person. These are, remember the Kabbalahs I told you about the Mechaye Meisim? These are one Kavanah above this. I'll show you this. But beforehand, just want to crystallize a few things. Keseh Chochma Bina equals 760. Equals Kanfei Nesharim. This is what I told you. When you can know also that when the Bina is extending its wing, it's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending the 3 Moichin, the Gadlus, Keser Chochma Bina, the Kachab. Now, if you look in the Yemei see that I gave you a parallel to Yemei Shavuos, it's called Atzeres. Equals 760. Because you reach the level. We going through Yemei in order to have the three Moichin, the Gadlus, by the time of Shavuos. It's the same letters as Saras. What you're fighting, you see, crystallized. You know where a person goes. This is the heaviest tumor because we send the person. There's nothing to do. He has to be 7 days with the Ruchos Rois and the Shadim and everyone out there in the midbar. Why? Because there's no cure for it. Only the Kohen can cure him after that if he made a true tshuva. So when a person, again, this equal also Sa'ar Saf. Yeah, you want to bua atzeres to your tsaras. It's in your heads. You know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the person. Naasei Adam. He wanted to do him not only with a shape that resembles the upper world, like in the shape of the spheroids, but with the power of the spheroids. You can stop it. So here the Parsha just tells us, when a person eating shratzim, ... You know the consequences. He made himself a sheket, and he's finished. He's going to tsaris. Why? Sheretz equals 590. Equals the eyes, the true eyes of a person which are in his das. It says we have one thing that saves us, that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us to surround ourselves with, is the talis cotton. And we have to have tzitzis on the full canvas. Why? On it depends all the mitzvahs of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitzis in the Torah is written like this. Now you understand why it's missing the second yud. Because it comes here to tell you that you becoming part of the cheshef. There's no more air. You can't see no more. So you won't know, even you would not have any sensibility to the other mitzvahs Hashem. The person is doomed. And he's going to go from lower to bad to worse to these to, and so forth. Now, if I would take this lotion that we said, Hasheretz ala aretz altogether, I don't need to mention this. Hasheretz ala aretz is enough. So if we take Hasheretz equals 991 equals Malchus Shechina. If you make the kettle, you just have Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. Why? Because the Geula depends on the tikkun of the Malchus and the Shechina. That's what it is. When a person is eating the shratzim, they don't have the same consideration as the other machalos asurim. Other machalos asurim, the metamtem the nefesh, yes, the metamtem this, yes. but they don't take the nefesh and turn it into something disgusting that's really not willing anymore to be mekayim the Torah. He recorded the whole time. I just had a reboot here, and I saw my microphone was off. So maybe I did the shiur for nothing. Hopefully, he recorded. We see the whole purpose is to be making the malchus, and with that we have Geula Shlema B'Meira B'Yameinu Amen. And I'm going to check if he recorded. Thank you very much, Galton. Good job.